If your legs feel heavy by the afternoon, your memory isn't as sharp as it was, and you're tired no matter how long you sleep, I'm going to show you 10 simple things that can start bringing your blood pressure down. Some of them work in the next 10 minutes. Most of them are already sitting in your kitchen. And I want to start with something nobody ever sits you down and explains. Those 3 things, the heavy legs, the foggy thinking, the tiredness that sleep doesn't touch, they are not 3 separate problems. They're not just getting older. More often than not, they trace back to one root cause. And that same root cause is what's pushing your blood pressure up. Let me show you what I mean. Your blood pressure isn't really about your heart pumping too hard. Not mainly. It's about your blood vessels, the pipes. Over the years, they get stiff, a little inflamed, and they stop relaxing and opening the way they did when you were 50. When those vessels are tight, your heart has to shove blood through them with more force. That force, that's the number on the cuff climbing. Look at what that same stiffness is doing everywhere else. It slows the blood getting down into your legs. So they feel heavy, tired, sometimes they tingle. It slows the blood getting up to your brain, so you get that cloudy, can't find the word feeling right in the middle of a sentence. And it makes your whole body work harder just to keep you going, which is exactly why you hit a wall at 2 in the afternoon and can't explain it. Same problem. Different rooms in the same house. So when you loosen those vessels back up and when you help them relax and open again, you're not just moving a number on a cuff. You're getting blood back to the places that have been quietly starving for it. And that's why people are so often surprised by how many things start feeling a little better at the same time. That's what these 10 tricks do. Every one of them works on that same root cause, just from a slightly different angle. Now, I'll be straight with you about that word instantly, because you deserve the truth and not a sales pitch. A couple of these you really will feel within minutes. I'll show you one breathing trick that can bring your numbers down before your coffee gets cold. The rest, you start today and they build over a few weeks. No gimmicks, just what actually holds up when you look at the research. So before we count them down, give me about a minute to show you what's really going on inside those vessels. Because once you see it, every trick after this is going to click into place. The inside of every blood vessel you have is lined with a single living layer of cells. 1 cell thick. Most people picture their arteries as dumb plumbing, hollow tubes that blood runs through. They're not. That lining is awake. It's working every second of every day. And one of its main jobs is to release a tiny signal, a gas actually, called nitric oxide. You may have heard the name. What you probably weren't told is what it does. Nitric oxide is the relax signal. When that lining releases it, the muscle wrapped around your artery softens, the vessel opens wider, and the pressure inside comes down. That's the mechanism. That's the whole game, right there. Now, 2 things change with the years. First, that lining makes less nitric oxide as you get older, less relaxed signal. So the resting setting of your vessels slowly drifts from open and easy toward tight and narrow. Second, the lining itself takes damage from years of high sugar, from inflammation, from the ordinary wear of a body that's been running a long time. And a damaged lining goes quiet. It stops sending the signal at all. And so you end up with arteries that are tighter than they should be, that have half forgotten how to relax on command. And your heart pays the bill. Every single beat, pushing against more resistance than it was built for. And this is the part that makes it so dangerous. You don't feel any of it happening. Your vessels can be stiffening for 10 years, 20, and there's no ache, no warning light, nothing. That's why they call high blood pressure the silent killer. I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm saying it because it's accurate. It does its damage in total silence. What you actually feel, remember, is downstream. The heavy legs, the fog, the tiredness that sleep won't fix. Those are the symptoms that finally get your attention. But the pressure itself has been climbing quietly the whole time, wearing on your kidneys, your eyes, and those fine little vessels deep in your brain. So what does that mean for you practically? It means you cannot go by how you feel. Someone can feel perfectly fine and be sitting at 160. That's exactly why a $20 cuff from the pharmacy is one of the smartest things you can own. It puts the truth on your own kitchen table. No appointment, no waiting room, no permission needed. But now, the good news, and it's genuinely good. That living lining, it's responsive. It answers fast. You give it the right input, the right food, the right movement, even the right breath, and it starts releasing that relaxed signal again. Sometimes within minutes. You are not stuck with the vessels you have today. They can soften, they can open, starting now. So let's get into how. We'll count it down from 10. And number 10 is one almost nobody connects to their blood pressure, even though a lot of you are getting it wrong before you've even had breakfast. Number 10, water. I know. You were expecting something more dramatic to kick off the countdown. Stay with me because this one is quietly working against a lot of you. When you're even a little dehydrated, and a lot of older adults walk around mildly dehydrated without realizing it, your blood volume drops, and your body does something clever and unhelpful about it. It releases a hormone called vasopressin that squeezes your vessels tighter to prop the pressure back up. So that tightness we just talked about, you're adding to it. Every day you underdrink, you're telling your vessels to clamp down. And it's worst first thing in the morning. You've just gone 7-8 hours without a sip of anything. You wake up as concentrated and dehydrated as you'll be all day, and a lot of you reach straight past the water for coffee. We'll come back to that. The fix is almost insultingly simple. A glass of water when you get up before the coffee, and enough through the day that you're not running on empty. Your thirst signal fades as you age, so don't wait until you feel thirsty. By the time you do, you're already behind. That's the easy one. Let's move up. Number 9, the evening drink. Now this next one is a little harder to hear because for a lot of people it's part of how they unwind. The glass of wine with dinner, the beer with the game, and look, I'm not here to take that from you, but the research is clear enough that you deserve to have it. There was a large review in the Lancet Public Health, 36 trials, nearly 3,000 people. In the heavier drinkers, 6 or more a day, cutting back by about half, dropped their top number by 5.5 points. 5.5 points from one change. But here's the part that surprises people. Below about 2 drinks a day, they didn't find much effect at all. So this isn't never touch a drop again. It's that once you're regularly past 2, that's where the pressure starts stacking up, and where pulling back pays off the most. And alcohol does one more thing. It wrecks the quality of your sleep, even when it feels like it helps you drift off. Poor sleep keeps your nervous system revved all night, which keeps those vessels tight into the next day. So cutting back hits the pressure and that next afternoon exhaustion at the same time. Same route, again. Number 8, the second cup of coffee. I told you we'd come back to coffee. This is where it lands. Now, I'm not going to tell you coffee is poison. It isn't. Over the long haul, for most people, it's actually pretty neutral. But in the hours right after you drink it, caffeine spikes your pressure. It revs up your nervous system and tightens those vessels for a window of time. And if you already have high blood pressure, that spike hits harder. In trials on people with hypertension, 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine, about 2 strong cups, pushed their systolic up by roughly 8 points during that window. 8 points, that is not nothing. And here's something practical that comes straight out of that. If you check your pressure in the morning right after your coffee and the number looks alarming, that might be the caffeine talking, not your real baseline. So 2 simple moves: don't stack cups back to back through the morning. Space them out. And when you measure your pressure, do it before the coffee or a couple of hours after. You'll get an honest number and you'll stop scaring yourself with a reading that's really just the caffeine. All right, those first 3 were all about what to take away. Now we flip it. The next few are about what to put in. And number 7 is a mineral that a huge number of people over 65 are quietly running low on with no idea it's nudging their pressure up. Number 7, magnesium. You've heard of magnesium. What you may not know is what it does for your pressure specifically. It's the mineral that lets the muscle wrapped around your vessels relax and let go. Run low on it, and that muscle stays a little contracted, a little tighter than it should be, which is the whole problem we keep circling back to. And a lot of people over 65 are low without knowing it. Your gut absorbs less of it with age. Processed food has almost none. And some common blood pressure pills, the water pills especially, actually flush magnesium out of you. So the very people who most need their vessels to relax are often the most depleted. Now, the research here has a wrinkle worth knowing. Across everyone, magnesium supplements only move blood pressure a little. But when researchers looked specifically at people who were deficient or already on blood pressure medication, the drop was much bigger. A recent analysis put it near 8 points of systolic in that group. 8 points in the people who actually need it. So this isn't a magic bullet for everyone. It's a targeted fix for the folks who are low. And if you're over 65 on a water pill, there's a real chance that's you. You can get there with food: pumpkin seeds, leafy greens, beans, a square of dark chocolate, or a cheap supplement. Magnesium glycinate is gentle on the stomach. And there's a bonus you'll feel quickly, because magnesium also eases muscle cramps and deepens your sleep. So those nighttime leg cramps, that restless sleep, this one reaches into all of it. One mineral, several rooms. One note: if your kidneys aren't in great shape, run a supplement past whoever monitors them first. Food is safe either way. Number 6, a short walk after you eat. This isn't me telling you to join a gym. The specific version is what matters. When you sit for hours, and a lot of us do, especially parked in front of the TV in the evening, your blood goes sluggish, it pools in your legs, and your vessels go slack. Move those leg muscles, even gently, and they pump the blood back up and trigger that relax signal again. Your vessels wake up. Do it right after a meal and you get a second win. The walk blunts the blood sugar spike from the food. And those spikes are part of what stiffens vessels over time. There was a study in older adults I love because of one detail. They compared sitting, standing, and short walking breaks. The walking breaks dropped blood pressure by about 4 points. Standing did nothing. So why doesn't standing count? Because it's the muscle pumping that does the work, not just being upright. You actually have to move, and it takes almost nothing, 2 to 10 minutes after a meal. Or just stand up every half hour during a long sit and walk to the kitchen and back. Small, repeatable, real. And I want to stop on this one for a second, because it's about more than a number on a cuff. Think about 5 years down the road, 10 years. This right here is how people keep doing their own things, or slowly stop. I mean, carrying your own groceries in from the car, taking the stairs without hauling yourself up by the railing, getting down on the floor with a grandchild and getting back up on your own. I hear it in the comments all the time. Someone who gardened every Saturday their whole life, who walked their neighborhood every single morning, and now they can't. And they can't quite say when it happened. It's almost never one big event. It's 1,000 small days, stiff vessels nobody loosened, a number nobody was watching, quiet the whole way down, just like we said. It does not have to go that way for you. That's the real reason a 2-minute walk made this list. It isn't about today's reading. It's about staying the person who does their own things for as long as you possibly can. So with that in mind, let's keep stacking the wins. This next one, you get to sip. Number 5, hibiscus tea. This is that deep red tart tea, sometimes sold as sour tea or roselle. And it's more than a soothing drink, though it's that too. Hibiscus carries compounds that work a little like one of the common families of blood pressure medicine, helping your vessels open and easing the pressure inside. There was a study out of Tufts, 65 adults with mildly elevated pressure, 3 cups a day for 6 weeks. Their systolic fell by about 7 points. One of the researchers said it plainly. That's in the range of a starting dose of a blood pressure pill from a tea, and it costs pennies a cup. No caffeine either. So unlike that second coffee, this one's quietly working for you instead of against you. Hot or iced, 3 cups across the day. If you're already on blood pressure medication, just know it stacks. Usually a good thing, but worth mentioning to whoever manages your meds so you don't dip too low. All right, those were the supporting players. Now we're into the final 4. And these are the heaviest hitters on the whole list. The Kitchen Swap, a 20,000 person study tied to fewer strokes. The red juice that works better in your body than in a young person's. A move you do leaning against a wall, and the one trick you can do right now before this video is even over. Number 4, swap your salt. You've been told 1,000 times to eat less salt. I won't repeat it, because white-knuckling your way to less flavor rarely lasts. Let me give you something better. It's not really about sodium alone, it's the balance between sodium and potassium. Most of us get far too much sodium and nowhere near enough potassium. And potassium is the counterweight. It relaxes your vessels and helps your kidneys flush the extra sodium out. So instead of fighting to use less salt, you swap it. There's a thing called potassium salt substitute, sometimes labeled light salt or no salt. Looks like salt, shakes like salt, sits right next to it on the shelf for about $3. You just use it instead. And the study behind this is hard to argue with. Almost 21,000 people. Half kept their regular salt, half switched to the potassium version. The switchers had fewer strokes, fewer heart problems, fewer deaths, not a number on a cuff, actual strokes prevented in real people. But there's one real catch on this whole list, so listen close. If you have kidney disease or you're on certain blood pressure medications, ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or a potassium-sparing water pill, this swap is not for you. Your body can hold on to too much potassium, and that's genuinely dangerous. So this is the one trick where you check first before you start. Everybody else, it might be the best $3 you spend this year. Number 3, beetroot juice. Remember that relax signal, the nitric oxide your vessels make less of as you age? This is how you refill it directly. Beets are loaded with natural nitrates and your body turns them into that exact signal your arteries have been short on. And this is my favorite fact in the whole video. One study gave beetroot juice to young adults and older adults. The young group barely budged. The older group saw real drops in pressure. For once, age is the advantage. Your body responds to this better than a 30-year-old's does. It works within hours too, so it's one of the genuinely fast ones. A small glass of bottled beet juice from the grocery store, roasted beets or beet powder, all of it works. And don't be alarmed if things look a little pink in the bathroom later. That's just the beets. Completely harmless. Number 2, the wall squat. Nobody believes this one until they see the research. The single most effective exercise for blood pressure isn't walking, it isn't swimming, it isn't cardio at all. It's standing dead still against a wall. They pooled 270 trials, nearly 16,000 people, every kind of exercise. And isometric holds, where you tense and hold without moving, beat all of them. The wall squat dropped the top number by around 8 points. Here's the thing, that's as much as a starting dose of a blood pressure pill, from leaning on a wall. And remember, every 5 points off that top number cuts your stroke risk by roughly 14%. 8 points is real protection. Why does it work? You hold the squat, squeezing the vessels in your legs shut. Then you stand and release, and the blood floods back through, and the lining releases a rush of that relax signal. You're training your vessels to open. The how is simple. Slide your back down a wall until your knees bend, only as far as is comfortable. You do not need to go deep. Hold for 2 minutes. Rest. 4 times, 3 days a week. Keep breathing the whole time. Never hold your breath. And if your balance is shaky, set a sturdy chair in front of you to hold and start with shorter holds. Build up. And that brings us to number 1. The only trick on this list you can do right now, sitting exactly where you are. Number 1, slow breathing. This is the one that delivers on the word instantly, because it actually does. When your pressure's up, your nervous system is usually revved, stuck in a low-grade alarm state. Slow breathing flips it. It tells your body the danger is past and your vessels relax in response, within minutes. The key is the exhale, long and slow. Breathe in for about 4 seconds, out for about 6 or 7. Roughly 6 breaths a minute, much slower than you normally breathe. Do that for 5 minutes and your numbers come down measurably. The research backs it, and the Heart Association recognizes it. In fact, let's do a few right now. Sit back. Breathe in slow, 2, 3, 4. And out, nice and long, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, in and a long, slow out. Feel that? That's settling? That's your nervous system letting go of your vessels. You just lowered your own blood pressure sitting in your chair for free. That's the one to reach for anytime you feel wound tight. So step back and look at what we just did. These were never really 10 separate tricks. They're 10 doors into the same room. Every one of them loosens stiff vessels and refills that relax signal. Some through food, some through movement, one through your own breath. Which is exactly why, when you stack a few of them, you don't just watch the cuff number drop. Your legs feel a little lighter. The fog lifts a bit. That 2 o'clock crash softens. One root cause. And when you treat it, a lot of rooms in the house get better at once, just like I told you at the start. Now, don't go do all 10 tomorrow. That's how people quit by Friday. Pick 2 or 3 that fit your life. The breathing and the beats you'll feel this week. The wall squat, the salt swap, the hibiscus, give those a few weeks, be consistent. That's where the real change lives. And keep an eye on your own numbers. That $20 cuff on your kitchen table is how you'll actually see this working and how you stay in charge of your own health, which is exactly how you like it. So let me leave you with this. If you've been carrying this for years, quietly worried, half believing it was just what getting older feels like, I want you to hear me clearly. It is not just aging, and it is not too late. Your vessels can still soften, they can still open. You proved it to yourself 30 seconds ago with nothing but your breath. So pick one thing from this list and start it today. Your body is far more willing to come back than you've been led to believe. If this helped, subscribe. I put these out every week. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.